Welcome back everybody to another breakdown video where this time we're going to be going over Hoshoryu and his first yusho. Congratulations to him. As per usual, we will be just getting right into it. I'm going to put Hoshoryu in the blue because that's the belt color he chose, and his opponents will be in the yellow or in the pink. It really depends on which one I accidentally click on first, you know this, but yeah, Hoshoryu with a strong 12-3 yusho, 14 matches, of course, with that playoff too, and we'll be breaking down every single one of them, John Madden style. So we'll be watching this one at full speed and then go through step by step if necessary, because, you know, sometimes it's just, oh, there was a henka, and, you know, you don't really have to break down a henka. Although in Hoshoryu's case, he avoids henkas multiple times, which we will be seeing in just a little bit. Alrighty, this first match was against Tobizaru, my favorite, and we all kind of remember what happened here on day one. Tobizaru gets robbed because Hoshoryu's hand hits the ground, but they don't actually call it hitting the ground. We'll just go in and see what actually happens here. They both stand up at the tachi-ai at each other, and then Hoshoryu pushes forward at the hips, at the stomach to pursue, and that's what the win is. Of course, there is a little bit more to it, and thanks to the magic of YouTube, we can actually go back. Let me put this at 1080p. We can go back and break it down. So right off the tachi-ai, they both jump up at each other, and I think it's because Hoshoryu expected something tricky from Tobizaru. Tobizaru looks like he's going for, like, the way his hands come out like this, looks like he's going for a slap down, so might have been trying to come out to the side for a henka, but when that doesn't work, Hoshoryu just steps forward, and Tobizaru is like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just put my hands here now. Not really too much else to say about that tachi-ai, just very slow and careful from Hoshoryu, which you need to be against trickier opponents like this, like Tobizaru. And from here, although Tobizaru has a good stance, these arms are a little too straight. And by that, I mean it's easier to parry or push to the side arms that are straightened, like the elbow is locked, and it's just really easy to get around something like this. So what does Hoshoryu do? He does just that. He parries with the inside left and then begins the push. You can see coming up under the armpit here to apply pressure. And from here, he's going to continue to pursue around the edge of the ring, and he will eventually push Tobizaru down. You can see Tobizaru attempting to flee, attempting to step back, slap away, but Hoshoryu catches him with the left arm around his body and uses that to twist himself around in pursuit. Tobizaru pulls back and technically does get the slap down here because there's the fingers from Hoshoryu, but that's neither here nor there. Hoshoryu kept his footing most of the way through. That hand on the ground wasn't called by neither the referee, you know, the Gyoji, or the Shimpan, the side judges. You can even see, like, this dude is looking right at the hand, and, you know, I guess they just thought it didn't actually touch, which, fair enough. You know, I'm a referee with 12 years experience. You just can't get all of the calls right, you know? It's unfortunate, but that just is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, you know? So I can't be too mad about that as a Tobizaru fan, and, you know, as a fan of Hoshoryu as well. Again, you can't be, it's not that bad. I've seen worse non-calls, you know? And then, of course, you know, me capturing it in the freeze frame right here from the different angle. That was during live as well. Alrighty. This next match, Hoshoryu versus Shodai, which I didn't give it enough of a start, which that is my mistake on the clip, but let's go back to it. Ah, geez, I really didn't give it enough of a start. So I'll just play it from here, right off the tachi-ai. You can see hoshoryu getting his hands up to the throat of Shodai, and let's watch it full speed. So he pushes up to the face of Shodai multiple times, and then he goes down, dives for the belt, and pushes forward chest to chest. Not a very complicated match again. It's mostly off of a strong tachi, which even, the Shimpan will say, if you win the tachi, you just win the match. That seems reasonable enough. The follow-up to the attacks, though, we don't really get a good angle on it, but you can see right after, loosening the grip on his face, he gets a strong push to the chest, which you can almost kind of see his foot is a little too far back and needs to swing it around if he wants a little more leverage. But I think the more important thing here is the fact that he continued his momentum forward and didn't slow down, because if he did, then Shodai would have been able to recuperate. But because Shodai kept the pressure on, although that back foot is a little far away, that could have slipped out from underneath him, he does continue moving forward. And you can even see he had to take a few steps out this way, and now Shodai might have a chance to recover here. But again, he's going to immediately turn. He's going to push this shoulder forward instead of squaring back up, because he knows he has to keep the pressure on. He has to keep moving forward. And when he stops moving forward, that's when Shodai can gain some momentum again. He's known as a defensive sumo wrestler. He is known for what he can do at the edge, or at least he used to be. And at this point, hoshoryu just needs to keep going. So right here, grabs the inside right, pulls himself in, and Shodai, who already had that momentum going backwards, tries to, break this grip with the left arm around and inside. But again, all the momentum is already in favor of hoshoryu, and he gets a simple yorikiri, which, he had to fight hard for it to start, because again, right off this tachi, Teruno Fuji looking at us menacingly, right off this tachi, hoshoryu, big right foot forward, right leg, right knee, driving forward, going up straight to the throat, straight into that Ozeki watch, straight into that Ozeki rank you can see up there. And Shodai, just not as strong as he used to be when it came to the defense. You can see Shodai's hands. He's trying to parry. He's trying to slap these hands to the side, but hoshoryu overwhelming him might just be stronger in general. It's just better position for hoshoryu to be in, and hoshoryu pushes forward for the win. 2-0 to start, as the Sekiwake was really nice to see. Next up, his match against Nishikigi. Hoshoryu tries to do the same thing he did to Shodai, but when he meets resistance, he tries to pull back, slap down. You can see that again here. So he goes straight for the throat like he did against Shodai, but because Nishikigi doesn't get moved back like Shodai did, he tries to pull back for the slap down, which doesn't work, and he ends up getting slapped down himself. You can see the similarities here. So this time, another big drive forward with the knee. You might hear the dog squeaking the toy a little bit. Hand straight up to the throat, pushing as hard as he can up to the neck of Nishikigi, but Nishikigi, instead of getting popped backwards, those heels get dug into the ground, and he just kind of creates this crescent that you normally see when, you're on the edge and your heels are dug into the tawara, but he gets stood up in the middle of the ring. That's really good footing, really good solid footing there. So when hoshoryu meets all this resistance, you can see even his feet are sliding back just a little bit because he's pushing, and he's pushing himself backwards. That could be because of the weight disparity, just not being able to move Nishikigi, or, if that's the case, then why did Shodai give it up so easily? But that's a different question for a different time, and probably could be answered by, oh, Shodai is lazy, hand wave it away. But the point here is now, because this force forward is getting stopped up, he's going to try to wrench the neck down, rake down at the chest, and pull backwards and try to get the slap down. Right here, it's a good opportunity, but Toby, really? It's a good opportunity, and you can see even from this freeze frame, as fuzzy as it is, Nishikigi's footing is not that bad. His center of gravity is like about here, his feet nearby, his other foot is going to come over in pursuit, and he's going to be able to catch himself with a big risky step. Now, because hoshoryu jumped back so far, he doesn't have the agility or the opportunity to come dive forward to get to the side of Nishikigi, which if he did, then he just grabs him from behind and pushes him out. Also, because what Nishikigi does here is once he plants this foot, he twists his entire body around. Like you could see, that was pretty smooth. And I'll go back a little bit frame by frame. I actually just jump back like 2 seconds or 5 seconds, I guess. Right here, he's going to plant, Nishikigi is going to plant this foot down and then pull back his entire body. That right hip, that right foot, that right shoulder comes back to meet hoshoryu square on again. And maybe what hoshoryu was thinking was that he was going to be able to get the catch at the hip, you know, get around the back, get the grab on the belt, and that's why he gets so low here, which catches him. He gets up to the face and then stumbles forward. Again, maybe because he thought he'd be able to get around the back, just a bit out of reach, and his upper body just kind of fell away from his lower body. And then Nishikigi, all he has to do is let him fall and ease him to the ground. So, not the worst loss for hoshoryu, because he expected it to go something more like the Shodai match, where right off the Tachi-ai, we can see it again, right off the Tachi-ai, goes for the throat and Shodai is getting pushed back. Whereas in this next match, he goes for the throat and he doesn't move. Maybe if he kept up the pressure on the throat like he did against Shodai, he would have gotten pressure going forward, and that would have been better for him. Probably would have been, because that's another complaint I have a lot about a lot of sumo wrestlers just in general, is once you start moving yourself backwards, you give up all that momentum to your opponent. And unless you win off of that immediate backwards push, it's very bad, very dangerous for you. So I would chalk this up to more of a careless mistake by hoshoryu, a bit of an ambitious mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. He shouldn't have pulled back in the first place, should have continued applying pressure to the face, and, you know, it is what it is. He took his loss. Back, but hoshoryu slips forward. This match is against Mitakeumi, who looked really weak all tournament, had a very terrible tournament. We all know why. His father passed away, which is very unfortunate. And, you know, there really wasn't much to say about his sumo this tournament, looking like a shadow of his former self, which you can't help it when you're going through emotional turmoil like that. But we'll see how hoshoryu beats him here. Takumi with that leg wrap around. hoshoryu getting the solid push forward. That big right foot goes forward again, gets the right hand around the back of the belt, and just keeps the pressure on that yorikiri. Not a complicated match right there. Pretty cut and dried from hoshoryu. Just right off the Tachi-ai. He leads with the big left and then pulls the big right forward as well. So in the first few matches, we saw hoshoryu kind of take a smaller step to the left and then lead with his right, but this time he goes for a bigger step to the left and then will pull the right around. Not sure why the difference here. Could be trying to adapt to his opponents, but that is something to note, how a sumo wrestler starts his matches. Sometimes they always lead with the right leg, like Wakataka Kage did. Not sure if his style is going to change after he comes back from injury. Sometimes they lead with their left leg. Sometimes they just stand up, don't move their legs. Sometimes they have a little hop forward at the Tachi-ai. We've seen that before. So always keep a lookout on how hoshoryu starts this match. Leads with the big left foot first, and then uses that to kind of pop Mitakeumi to the side. So by applying pressure up high to this right shoulder Mitakeumi, he's going to turn Mitakeumi's body around a little bit and then use that to have, you know, less distance for his left arm to grab the belt. So from here, immediately gets the belt, that left hand slapping down right there, and then jumps like within frames, just, you know, a split second. The hand was near the front of the belt, and then he puts it around the back, right before Mitakeumi can push up to the face. So, YouTube, you're going to have to bear with me, please. So, right hand, right there, and then within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames, gets that grip all the way around the back, and that's where it's locked in. That's where it's good. This is where hoshoryu wants to be, because Mitakeumi, at the same time, trying to apply pressure to the face, trying to push him up and away, but hoshoryu, with this grip around the back locked in, now he's able to pull himself in, resist these pushes, and from there, it's just strength versus strength. And he's the one to overpower Mitakeumi when Mitakeumi tries to, accept the fact that this is going to be a Yotsu match. He goes under the armpit, might try to wrap it on the belt, might try to go up under the armpit to try to, push up the elbow and break this grip. But no matter what happens here, it's strength versus strength. And Mitakeumi, all tournament, never really shown much strength. And you can see how hoshoryu was driving, how Mitakeumi was getting tilted to the side, how hoshoryu simply was the stronger sumo wrestler in this match. Hoshoryu versus Abi. This is one of the matches where, I think this is one of the matches where Abi tries to henka and then hoshoryu dodges it out. Let's see. Kind of a henka there from Abi, but hoshoryu survives the pushdown and Abi kind of loses his footing here. So Abi matches and a lot of Oshizumo matches are more like, they're all in the Oshizumo sumo wrestlers' hands. They either win or they lose. And by that, I mean hoshoryu either loses or he survives. And that goes for a lot of these Oshizumo guys. Like you think about Takakeisho, you either lose against the full-bodied push or you survive against the full-bodied push and you slap him down. The same thing for Abi. In his match against Teruno Fuji last tournament, Abi ran into a brick wall and just stumbled and fell, and he lost. Wasn't really based on anything Teruno Fuji did. Same thing goes for what happens right here. Abi attempts a henka, and then on the push, hoshoryu survives against the push at the edge, and then Abi just kind of falls on his butt. So, there are a lot of different ways to win in sumo, and this is one I've said many, many, many times. It's more about not losing than it is winning. So you can see the jump up to the side right there. I do want to actually go back and see which foot hoshoryu leads with again. Let's see. Hoshoryu does get the step with the left again, going out wide. And that's probably why Abi thought jumping up to the left this way would get him the slap down, because hoshoryu is coming out to the left and he's going to be hitting air if he keeps going this way. So Abi thinks, okay, I'll slap him down by jumping up to the left. That's reading your opponent really well. But hoshoryu gets swung around. I want to see that again. What was that? So hoshoryu gets swung around. It looks like Abi kind of grabs the face right here, while at the same time hoshoryu was able to pull this left foot forward and then swing his body around. I'm not sure if this is Abi grabbing hoshoryu's face and accidentally keeping him in it, or if this is hoshoryu letting himself get caught by Abi so he can use his stopped up momentum to swing his body around, or maybe I'm giving him too much credit and it was just planting the foot and spinning. But either way, hoshoryu survives the initial henka, which he's very good against. Someone in the Nato Sumo Discord said he was something like 7-1 against henkas. And from here, you can see his center of gravity is nice and low. It's centered over, where his base is. And now Abi, having failed the henka, has to try to attempt a slap down against a dude who's just ready to be coiled up and sprung back up into his chest. So Abi has to go on the retreat, still attempting the slap down, but now trying the push up at the face. And this is where the push is a little bit weaker, because Abi is starting from an explosive tachi eye. He's starting from, That's the wrong color. He's starting from just 2 feet in the middle of the ring, already standing up. So now he has to try to push and push as hard as he can. He's going to need to try to lean his body forward for this push. And again, because this wasn't the Tachi that he's trying to restart from, that's what makes it all the more difficult, you know, because he doesn't have a lot of that starting momentum. Whereas, you know, here, hoshoryu has the advantage because he's able to prepare a better defense. So hoshoryu getting stood up a little bit, doesn't step over the edge. Take note of that. He doesn't step over the edge because that does happen later on. And then uses that to get to the side of Abi. Gets around to the side, pulls Abi by the hand as well, and then Abi loses his footing, falls on his butt, and again, hoshoryu was able to survive the onslaught, and he's good to go. Just to maintain his footing, gets behind him, and 4-1 for hoshoryu. Looking pretty good for himself. Abi's henka does not work. Next up, against Midori Fuji. Truthfully, I don't remember this match, so let's see what happens here. Belt in the first place. Full speed, hoshoryu. A little hop forward from Midori Fuji, who tries to fight chest to chest, trying to wrap each other up. hoshoryu getting an arm bar, the Morozashi grip around those inside arms, moving forward like Teru no Fuji would, and then Sotogake trip from behind. hoshoryu 5-1. So, similar to his match against Mitake Yumi, this one, Midori Fuji, he jumps up and tries to catch the charging hoshoryu, but hoshoryu did not charge headlong into the catch. What you're going to see is hoshoryu, he doesn't hesitate at the tachi, he just takes it like a half a step slower, and that's to, you know, make sure he doesn't get tricked like he did against Tobizaru. He took it a little bit slower, so he knows what he's going to be coming up against. Midori Fuji, you can see right off the tachi, he's going to take a small hop forward and lean forward because he expected hoshoryu to probably charge a lot harder headlong into him, probably get a catch right off the tachi, and because he couldn't get the catch, you know, hoshoryu is able to fight him up high chest to chest, and we can just see it taken from here. Big left foot forward again from hoshoryu, and then it looks like he always likes going out. Oh, that's the wrong color again. It looks like hoshoryu always likes coming out a little wide over here, so he can push the right shoulder and get his opponent a little off balance. I'm not sure how much that affects the potential LeoDSumo matchups, but it seems to be working out for him. And then from here, it's just strength versus strength. You can see hoshoryu starts off with the inside right and trying to pull up on the outside right of Midori Fuji, to which they're going to hand fight for a little bit, try to get dominance over the belt. hoshoryu jumps to the side, which again, I don't really like to see him jump. I don't like it when a sumo wrestler takes both feet up off the ground, especially when there have been so many slippy otoshis in the tournament. So to see him jump like that, a little risky, a little scary, and he doesn't have enough pressure for a slap down anyway, so not really sure why he's trying to jump for that. But he does get inside left under the armpit, and Midori Fuji is trying to fight by blocking that with his own right elbow here. Excuse me. So hoshoryu, again, tries to pull back, which I don't like it when sumo wrestlers pull. I don't like the pulling attacks because you're just giving your opponent forward momentum. And Midori Fuji can't really take advantage of it. He does have this left hand wrapped around the back here, but it's not on the belt, so he can't really control the hips of hoshoryu. Although being able to pull himself in so he can get a chest to chest, especially if it's double inside, would be advantageous. The problem with that is hoshoryu, now after Midori Fuji tries to pull back, hoshoryu has the double outside around the arms. This is something that Teru no Fuji does all the time, where he locks his opponent's arms up into the armpit. And now, you would think this isn't that bad for, the dude with the double inside. But what this really does is this gives hoshoryu control over his opponent's shoulders. So he's able to rock him back and forth whichever way he wants to shake him, and could toss him down by both of his arms outside. In this kind of matchup too, again, strength versus strength, if you have more strength than the double inside, you'll simply dig your feet into the ground, push forward, and win the chest to chest. But if you're the stronger double outside, that's when, again, you can lift up by their arms. You can manipulate how you move their shoulders. So you rock them back and forth, and they constantly have to go with you, so they can't do anything offensively. So from here, hoshoryu has control, and even though Midori Fuji tried to throw him to the side, hoshoryu maintains control. He's the one trying to go for the throw, and then at this last second, on the push forward, when they bring their hips closer together, that's when hoshoryu sees the opportunity here to go for the sotogake, the leg trip. So he wraps his right leg behind Midori Fuji's left, and from here, Midori Fuji either needs to be incredibly quick pulling this leg out and around so he can get, more stability, or, he's just going to fall backwards and lose because he's up on one foot and he's getting pushed to be stood up and the pressure is too great. So now trying to contain him, he just falls backwards. It's clean that hoshoryu was able to keep his own footing. It's actually pretty clean that hoshoryu stayed on his own 2 feet. This match is against Asanoyama. Instead of the red, he's become known. Asanoyama returning, wants to get back to Ozeki himself. Maegashira 4 at this point of the tournament. This was actually the match where Asanoyama's bicep gets torn because hoshoryu delivers a devastating throw at the end. Although, again, it's not anyone's fault if someone gets injured. This is a combat sport. Don't get mad at hoshoryu if, he injures Asanoyama. I know some people probably would, and I know, people get mad when their favorites get injured. But, it's a combat sport. You can't really be upset when it's just a natural thing that will occur. hoshoryu, Asanoyama. hoshoryu taking the big left foot to the outside, gets the twist again on Asanoyama, now locking in the outside right, inside left, but the inside left is not on the belt. Going for the throw with the outside, nearly tripped, and then goes for another throw. Nice pumping himself up at the end there, and this is when Asanoyama tore that bicep too, so probably can't pinpoint the exact location, but this match plays out similarly to the Shodai and the Nishikigi, where they kind of meet each other in the middle here, and hoshoryu tries to attack high. He's not necessarily going for the throat here like he did against the other two, but he is attacking, the chest. He does, instead of pushing that left foot forward, he more steps to the outside. And again, he does this. Now I'm thinking his left arm is probably a stronger push, so he gets the right hand up to the chest, the left arm to the shoulder so he can turn his opponent around. And, Asanoyama also leading with his left foot kind of opens himself up to turn his body to, more accept the stance, I guess you could call it. Basically, they will square up against each other again, is what I'm trying to say. So from this initial push, they are, fighting forearm to forearm, hand to hand down here. We can't really see what's going on, but hoshoryu again goes for a pullback like he did against Nishikigi, which I don't like this move. It doesn't work. And hoshoryu has to save himself. You could see his hand was like to the back, and then he immediately pulls both arms back in to try to go for the double outside around the forearms, the Morozashi grip again. But this isn't Midori Fuji. This is a Sanoyama. So from here, actually gets chest to chest because of a Sanoyama's push forward, and with that, hoshoryu locks in this outside right on the belt. And this was something I mentioned during the tournament, is that it seems like outside grips for certain Rikishi are stronger than inside grips, because I'm not sure about how it feels or the the sports science behind it, but it seems like it's easier to go for throws when you have that outside grip, probably because when your hand is on the inside and it's twisted like that, it's getting blocked by the elbow and puts your arm in a really uncomfortable position. So going for the throw with the outside grip is the more favorable thing to do lately. So using this grip, we will continue watching forward. Hoshoryu survives using the momentum of the Tawara. Sanoyama slips back a little bit, and when they come back to a stalemate here, Hoshoryu goes for the throw. Outside arm on the belt, throws the hip in front of Sanoyama's hip to try to kick up the leg, which does work a little bit, and if Hoshoryu wanted to go the extra mile, he would kick up his own leg for a suicide throw, the kakenage, and he doesn't do that here, but he definitely could have. Now, amazing defense from Sanoyama. Big hop up on one right foot, does not get thrown. Hoshoryu doesn't have the follow-up on that push and instead elects to pull back to the middle of the ring. Kind of kicked the foot there, but again, Sanoyama kept his footing. That's really, really good footing from this former Ozeki. And from here, again, all the momentum is going back across the ring. So Hoshoryu uses all that momentum to go for another throw, and this time it works. Really good placement. He gets his glute in front of the quad of Sanoyama, goes for a nice throw, and easy as 1, 2, 3. Textbook.
Hoshoryu, the hip toss.
Really well done throw. Can you stop sniffing my butt? Go away. I took you out an hour ago, Toby. And I fed you early. Say hi to Toby in the comments if you are up to this part. Next up, he has another tricky opponent in Ura. So I expect to see another start similar to the Tobizaru, similar to the Midori Fuji match, where he doesn't take too big of a forward step in anticipation of what his opponent might do. So let's see what happens here. Not as far back from the line as he usually is. Hoshoryu goes out for a really wide left step, and that again looked more like an Uda fail than it was a Hoshoryu victory. A quick match, really quick match, but let's see what happens here again, full speed. They kind of just trade places, and Uda, because of his usual normal style of trying to get really low and trying to play submarine, he just pulls himself too low basically. So right off the Tachi-ai, Hoshoryu, you could see he tried to attack high. Let's go back and see that again. You can see he's going to pull the hands up high and try to attack high. Right there. But Uda gets underneath like that. Like this. That's kind of what I mean by the submarine, is he tries to go underneath, attack the belt, attack the waist. And Hoshoryu goes up high, sees there's no attack, so he tries to adapt it to a slap down, which it doesn't exactly work off the Tachi-ai. But then, because they both kind of missed each other, Hoshoryu went to the left, Uda went to his own left. They trade places, which is more funny looking than anything else. And Hoshoryu tries to keep his hands on Uda. Whether or not he thinks he's applying pressure with that, I'm not too sure. But trying to keep the hands on Uda, trying to keep the push forward, and then Uda, his feet are, again, kind of just too far away from his body, and that's the issue with his style, is because he tries to go for this stance where, let me try to draw it out. His legs are, you know, bent like this, but then his hips and torso come out this way. His center of gravity is always going to be above open ground. And if these legs are not an amazingly solid base, then he's not going to be able to keep himself up because that center of gravity is just pulling him forward to begin with. So gets slapped down in the middle of the ring due to his own style. Can you stop eating the carpet? Bad boy. Stop it. He has all these toys and he has to eat the carpet.
I guess you could call that,
But yeah, that was, again, more hoshoryu surviving than it was him really winning. Next up, his match against LeoDSumo. Don't really know LeoDSumo's style just yet, so I don't know what to expect from this match. I don't remember it. There were so many matches. So let's see it full speed.
what is he thinking?
False start from LeoDSumo.
Start. That was on purpose. Little grimace on Hoshoryu's face right there.
That's bad editing by me. Meet evenly head to head, and hoshoryu trying to contain the arms. Again, attempts the step back slap down, but it didn't work right there. Now trying to control with the morozashi, and does nearly get the kakenage, like I said earlier in the tournament.
What athleticism from both men to stay up on one foot.
Hoshoryu, he keeps going for these step back slap downs that don't work, and I don't like it. It reminds me of Aoyama. You know how he used to do the same exact thing, right? Where he would stand up at the tachi-ai, slap, and then attempt to pull back, slap down. You know, Hoshoryu's not doing that exact same thing, but it is really annoying that he is even trying these step backs in the first place. You know what I mean? He looks a little bit bigger than LeoDSumo. He might not, you know, have the same weight, that kind of thing. But, I mean, I'd expect a better, stronger strategy from him. Though LeoDSumo puts up good fight, and Hoshoryu does get a better, strong initial push. You could see, again, the follow-up of his feet. He goes outside to the left and then pulls his right foot very far in so he can swing this around and try to use that momentum to keep pushing forward. But LeoDSumo stops it up, and not a perfect angle for it, but you could see they are fighting for dominance on the inside. And when LeoDSumo nearly has double inside, that's when Hoshoryu tries to pull back for the slap down, which this is a good position to be in, don't get me wrong. It looks like LeoDSumo's about to go tumbling, but he's going to catch himself on this left foot and then twist around to meet Hoshoryu again while applying pressure, which that's not something Nishikigi did earlier on in the tournament, where he swung himself around and was able to catch Hoshoryu. This time, LeoDSumo swings himself around by catching Hoshoryu by the neck and pulling himself back into the fight. So Hoshoryu has negative momentum now. He's going backwards. This is not good for him. He is, you know, being pushed back to the Tawara, which once that happens, normally you can see someone, you know, bouncing off of the Tawara, coming back, that kind of thing. And, yeah, from here, it is just more Yotsu. Again, Hoshoryu going for the, going for the morozashi grip, the double outside around the arms. And instead of trying to control the shoulders like that, he will instead go for this leg kick, which it is dangerous. This is what he tried to do against Asanoyama earlier in the tournament, but this is closer to the kakenage, because you could see he pulls the leg back. And like, holy cow, look at LeoDSumo right here. This foot all the way out here, he's being pulled up and in by Hoshoryu. Like, incredible athleticism from LeoDSumo. That's exactly what I said live, and, you know, I mean it here too. Like, he stays up on that one foot. He's pushing himself into Hoshoryu. And if Hoshoryu continues to pull his upper body down and kick this leg back up, that's textbook kakenage. That's what we see from Aqua. But here, I don't know how they do it, They both stay up on one foot. Hirado Umi is hopping around because Hoshoryu is the one applying pressure because he's the one with the leg hook. He's the one that has, I guess, a more solid stance on the ground, and he's the one pulling with this arm, pulling with his upper body to go for this throw, but not finishing off the throw, and just kind of pushing him out with that inner thigh. Like, that's a really unusual finish. And although they probably just called it a straight up yorikiri, like, that finish to that match is incredible. Both of those men up on one foot, both of those men hopping around, and wow. Next up, against Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka finished the tournament strong, and well, at this point, he was closer to 500. Hoshoryu versus Kotonowaka. In respect for the Sekiwake. Takes the charge head on, but Kotonowaka gets the inside around the belt and uses that momentum to simply push at the chest. And Hoshoryu tries to resist it at the edge, but Kotonowaka is just the stronger Rikshi right there. So there really isn't much wrong that Hoshoryu does here. He doesn't really go out wide, and these steps that he usually takes were not as big as they usually are. He didn't come all the way out here. It was just a small step forward, leaning forward into the massive chest of Kotonowaka, probably because he knows he's going to be in for a yotsuzumo battle, and he's not exactly the strongest sumo wrestler, you know, muscle-wise. So leans forward to try to get this catch, and you can see he tries to right there. It's very quick, and Kotonowaka is deft at blocking it. But Hoshoryu, instead of pulling back for a slap down, what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to pull back to switch the grip to this right arm inside so he can get it on the belt and get a better grip. But Kotonowaka blocks it with this left forearm. It is very quick. That's why we're going to go frame by frame here. If it wants to. Come on, YouTube. There we go. So you can see he pulls back and then tries to get the right hand inside so he can get a grip on the belt. But Kotonowaka keeps moving forward, and although he's not exactly in a good leaning forward stance, he is the one applying pressure. I mean, a little bit more lean forward, like if his hips were lower and if he was, his legs bent a little more, not this way, but, more like this way, that would be perfect position for Kotonowaka. But Kotonowaka is going to block that by pulling his own left arm inside and forces Hoshoryu to the outside again because Kotonowaka is going to lock in the grip on the inside left. And from here, it's an exchanged inside left, outside right. Hoshoryu, although he does have the double belt grip, again, Kotonowaka, a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, harder to move, probably a little bit more muscle too, I don't know. But Kotonowaka, even though Hoshoryu switches the grip, at this point it's kind of desperation because you could see Hoshoryu is trying to get this grip inside, trying to kind of booty bump the thigh here of Kotonowaka to maybe try to pull and trip over his hip, but Kotonowaka already has outside left around the back. He has another grip. We can't really see it from here. Another outside right, probably more closer to the front, the hip bone of Hoshoryu. And it's just simple chest to chest. He has all the momentum. Hoshoryu catches himself on the Tawara, and Kotonowaka smartly looses the grip and then starts applying pressure to the face. And at this point, Hoshoryu is only being held alive by virtue of holding on to the belt. If Kotonowaka were to take another step forward and like scooch himself a little further forward, then Hoshoryu would simply fall backwards. But, just a really good push from Kotonowaka, really solid sumo, and, that's a good Yotsu battle right there, gotta say.
And Hoshoryu falls out of the yusho race.
I say falls out of the yusho race, but we know what happens. Next up, hoshoryu versus Tamawashi. Tamawashi is not like the other Oshizumo wrestlers. And what I mean by that is that he is very measured in his approach, and he's, instead of like how Abi and Daisho are full like lean forward up on their tippy toes and pushing at your face and throat, Tamawashi kind of rests back on his heels and fights with just pure thrusts to the face. That's how he prefers to fight. Pure pushes, and again, sits back on those hips, on those heels, so he can get, a solid base. That's the most important thing, having a solid base. So what did he do against hoshoryu here in a battle against the Mongolians? That's exactly what he does. Pushes up at the face, but accidentally lets hoshoryu inside, lets hoshoryu attack the chest and armpit, and hoshoryu overpowers Tamawashi in the Oshizumo match. So again, not a really long match, but No! Stop it! I know you just want to go out and play with the dog. I'm trying to shoot a video. Stop it. You would think I abuse this poor dog. But I don't. I feed him and I love him and I play with him. But you see other dogs outside and you're like, oh no, I want to go out and play with them. No, stop it. I just took you out an hour ago. You have all these toys. This poor puppy. So anyway, what happens here? Tamawashi hoshoryu. All right, go away. Stop it. Tamawashi and hoshoryu both meet by getting steps forward, and you can see again, hoshoryu, another big outside left step, but he's the one taking the punishment to the face right here. He's the one that gets popped up, and Tamawashi, because of his kind of a weird step actually, it looks like he pulls the right foot inside so he can get the knee in and then probably start driving, because he knows that hoshoryu is going to take that wide outside left step. So not a bad idea from Tamawashi to try to get the advantage straight off the Tachi-ai, which does work. He has the momentum. But, and this is the danger of Oshizumo, he kind of misses his blows here. Like they get slid off the back, slid up the arms, and he lets himself get too inside. And what I mean by that is, the Oshizumo guy, he wants to stay at an arm's length so he can continue to apply pressure like that. But what happens here is hoshoryu is able to get a grip on the inside. Even if it's just a small around the back type thing, it's still enough that Tamawashi now doesn't have his full-bodied pushes. So that allows hoshoryu to get the grip, start pushing forward, Tamawashi trying to pull away to retreat so he can continue his, thrusting assault here. But it's a little too late at this point, because now hoshoryu has the forward momentum. Like I was saying earlier in the tournament, I don't like it when hoshoryu moves backwards, because that gives up momentum to his opponents. And the same thing happens here for Tamawashi. Because he stepped too far forward, because he let hoshoryu get a grip around the back, he felt he needed to step back and, try to step back so he can keep delivering blows, delivering pushes to the face and chest. And when that doesn't happen, hoshoryu pushes forward, he gets the grip around the side, he keeps pushing forward to the chest, and he gets the better victory. So, again, surviving the initial attack, hoshoryu against Tamawashi, and it was solid sumo from both men. Here is one of the most interesting upsets of the tournament. Fuji was 0 for 5 in his matches against hoshoryu up to this point. And up to this point, I thought, okay, now that hoshoryu is going to be fighting Sekiwake, he's going to start losing. He's going to finish 10-5 if he's lucky. And, I had very, very little faith in Fuji, but let's watch this match. Fuji getting to the side, not fully committing to that big, strong push like we usually say he does. And then hoshoryu on the defense takes too far of a step backwards. And that's really the main thing that happens there. It's just that last step too far back. The rest of this match is pretty solid, you know. It is quite evenly matched both ways, but it's unfortunate that it really just comes down to that one mistake at the end there, just the lapse in ring awareness to step over. But up until that point, again, really good match. Hokuto Fuji usually would have committed to a full-bodied charge, but like we noted in this tournament in the live commentary, his style has changed for the better. He instead kind of comes out to the side over here and doesn't overcommit, to which he would usually just, you know, tumble and fall over. And he kind of mirrors how hoshoryu goes out to the left. He does the same thing by going out to the left himself, and they continue this head-to-head full-bodied pushing into each other. And with this, Hokuto Fuji is the one to actually gain some momentum because he's using this outside left to try to push Hoshoryu's shoulder into an uncomfortable spot. He's using his inside right to push up to the face of Hoshoryu. And we can't really see what Hoshoryu is doing from this angle, but we have to assume he's trying to use this right inside to push to the chest up and away defensively. Doesn't really look like it's working though. And from here, Hokuto Fuji has the momentum. Now he's pulling back for these windmill strikes like an Oshizumo wrestler would. And just an aside, you know, I put my thing up here because it's a part of the Abema overlay, but I really hate how the Abema overlay cuts off their heads like 90% of the time. If the cameraman could zoom out like just a little bit, that would be nice. But from here, Hokuto Fuji applying pressure, moving forward, and then Hoshoryu, he tries to hop around to the side, which is not a bad idea. If you get to the side of Hokuto Fuji, you can send him tumbling. But what happens next is the unfortunate part where Hokuto Fuji continues to push forward, and you could see, that's over the Tawada. That's not the Tawada, that's up and over the back of the Tawada. Where are you going, Hoshoryu? You're out of the ring now. You lost. So if he's able, like, you can see the position here too. It's not a bad position to be in. If he actually gets his foot on the Tawada, he can put up some solid defense here. It looks like he's going for a slap to the head and a slap down. So if he can like get the foot on the Tawada, hop back this way and send Hokuto Fuji tumbling down to the ground like that, he probably gets the win. But because he takes that big step that I am in the way of showing, he just straight loses. And it's so unfortunate too, because up until, you know, that moment, it was a pretty good match. Like, watch that foot. It just comes up a little too high. And again, this is one thing that I pointed out in a lot of other videos, mainly pointed it out in my Takeyumi breakdowns when he won his yusho. But when you keep your feet close to the ground, you guarantee your next step will hit the ground in the way you want it to. But when you pull your foot up this high off the ground, you put yourself on one foot, you put yourself a little bit off balance. And he, you know, this big lapse in judgment, he steps over the line. And in what could have been a match he wins, now he slips backwards and out of the ring.
Hokuto Fuji pumps himself up.
Really unfortunate to see, but you know, that is what it is. It happens to the best of us. Here we have Hoshoryu versus Kirishima. Both men of the same body style and size, both Mongolians, and both Ozeki now. How does this match go? I don't remember.
Down first is Kirishima.
Hoshoryu making the right step, not the left one, gets to the outside right grip on the belt, and he's gonna probably try to use this for the throw like he usually does. Has the inside left, Hoshoryu just fighting down low. And when is he gonna make a move here? Hoshoryu still trying to push to the chest, trying to get a better chest to chest, it seems. Trying to get further around the back of Kirishima, but Kirishima denies it, and now they're locked into a Yotsuzumo battle here. Kirishima trying to go for a pull down, it doesn't work, and he pulls Hoshoryu through his own chest. Hoshoryu 10-3. So a lot of the middle of this fight doesn't really matter. What matters most is the Tachi-ai. He comes out to the right. We've said it for every single match so far. Oh, the step to the left. Oh, the step to the left. Oh, his opponent knew he was going to step to the left. Oh, the step to the left. Hoshoryu comes out to the right. And you could see Kirishima probably wasn't expecting that because of the way his body is turned up. That allows Hoshoryu a really nice grip around the back. And from here, I want to say it's full control for Hoshoryu. Because once he locks in this grip and stays to the side, he tries the throw right here. It doesn't work. You can even see he tried to grip the knee right there, but that doesn't work either. And so they settle back down into this yusho match where they just try to fight for dominance on the chest to chest. You know, just trying to drive the head into the chest. Not really much to say about this.
For Hoshoryu here as they slow it down. Hoshoryu going for the push.
And then once Kirishima, you know, continuing on the defense right here, tries to block and tries to go for a pulling attack, which he doesn't really have a good position for. He just kind of pulls Hoshoryu, like right here. He pulls Hoshoryu into his own chest, stands himself up, runs himself out of the ring. And, I mean, if nothing happened, it would have been Hoshoryu's advantage the entire way. But because Kirishima attempted the pulling attack, which was already favorable for Hoshoryu, he just, you know, went for it. So, well done from Hoshoryu. 10-3, not too many matches left for him. As we get into this one, Wakamoto Haru. There's only 3 of these guys. I don't know why I keep mixing them up. Because I almost called him Wakatakamoto, because, you know, I'm thinking, oh, Wakamoto, you know, Haru, Wakamoto. That kind of thing. So I'm the dumb one. But Hoshoryu versus Wakamoto Haru. Catches the Henka, and from there gets a grip on the belt, drives Wakamoto Haru up, and then finishes it off with a throw. Exciting looking sumo. But again, Hoshoryu is really good against the Henka. And, you know, from the Sumo Association's own words, an Ozeki won't fall for a Henka. And that is from when Terutsuyoshi Henka'd a Sanoyama via leg pick all the way back when Terunofuji came back to become an Ozeki again in the first place, to become a Yokozuna right afterwards. Terutsuyoshi defeated a Sanoyama via leg pick straight from the Tachi-ai. And although a lot of people were disappointed, the main thing was the Sumo Association saying, well, if you're a good sumo wrestler, you'll avoid the Henka. And like I mentioned earlier, someone has been keeping track, and apparently Hoshoryu is 7-1 against the Henka this year. Right here. Big left step out. Going for the right, or the big jump to the left to match Hoshoryu's jump to the left. Kind of like what Abi did earlier in the tournament. But this right hand is going to catch the hip. He's going to use that to turn himself. Kind of like exactly what he did against Abi. Going to turn himself. Like, actually caught the knee right there. Nearly had Wakamoto Haru lose because he caught Wakamoto Haru by the knee and all that momentum stopped. Look at that grab. Look at that from Hoshoryu. That's crazy. Grabs that knee and immediately, not even a second later, locks in the grip around the back. Wakamoto Haru is finished. It doesn't matter what happens from here. You're dead, Wakamoto Haru. Hoshoryu actually loses the grip, but from here, in the chaos, Hoshoryu goes for a pull over the leg, twists right over the leg right here. A basic throw, and just another fantastic match from Hoshoryu. Looking really good.
Oh, man, what a catch.
Oh, day 15. We knew what the stakes were, and truthfully, I expected a much better match. Although, you do have to remember, Haku Oho is 19 years old rookie. He's going to be turning 22 or 20 in, I think it's August 22nd. That's why 22 is in my head. But he's turning 20 this year. Next month, rather. Or from the time I post this video, in a couple of weeks. So I can't say I'm disappointed by a hoshoryu win. And I probably shouldn't say I expected a much better match when, considering it's an Ozeki versus a rookie. But, I'll just let it speak for itself. Give me 10 minutes, Toby, and then we can go, because I got to check the mail, okay? Give me 10 minutes. I swear, this kid does not leave me alone. He's so cute, though. hoshoryu takes the charge, gets the grip on the outside right, and goes for his usual throw. I said it during the tournament, during live, that it looks like Haku Oho was moving, he was shuffling this way to try to get to the side of hoshoryu, maybe to get an outside grip of his own or something, but hoshoryu kind of uses that against him, because once hoshoryu locks in this grip on the belt, the outside right, again, the outside always seems to be better for going for throws with. Inside left, not sure why he's trying to, shuffle around the left side, maybe to dig in the left around the back, go for a tighter bear hug, but hoshoryu, it's a simple throw using the right outside, and not even before the throw happens, Haku Oho got dragged to the ground. And I think it's because he didn't expect the throw so quickly. Like, within a second, he goes from chest to chest to, what actually probably does it? Pulling away with this right arm right here, yanking him down by that hip is probably what does it. So let's watch this, frame by frame. hoshoryu, immediate pivot, pull, and a little bit of slippy otoshi. The foot slips just a little bit, but even without that foot slip, it was over for Haku Oho. He was gonna get thrown either way. hoshoryu earns Ozeki off the back of this match, but now he needs to earn the yusho in a rematch of the biggest upset so far of the tournament.
hoshoryu versus the honorable man of the North Star.
It started a little too quickly for me. So for the yusho against Hokuto Fuji. Hokuto Fuji actually meets him square up at the Tachi-ai head-on. hoshoryu comes out to the right instead of the left. And I called this live, but I think this was more Hokuto Fuji, again, attempting an ill-advised pullback than it was, hoshoryu going on a much stronger push. But, again, the pulls come back to bite you. No matter who you are, no matter what level you are, a pulling attack will come back to bite you. And I don't blame them, but some of these sumo wrestlers need to stop pulling, please. For the love of everything sumo, stop pulling. Because, again, just another poor attack into the win for hoshoryu here. Not to say hoshoryu didn't deserve this win. That's not what I'm saying at all. But, again, this was more how to survive and win than it is how to take control and win. So hoshoryu, right off the Tachi-ai, actually comes out to the right here. They meet each other square, which, this is the first time all tournament that hoshoryu has met someone square on that wasn't Tobizaru or Midori Fuji, those smaller, trickier guys. So to come out with a wide stance with both legs to try to catch Hokuto Fuji and then immediately try to convert that to a grip is the advantageous thing to do, because Hokuto Fuji is one of those, Takakeisho-esque full-bodied pushers. Hokuto Fuji simply can't get his hands anywhere strong. He's trying to go for a push, but the elbows are too high. And when your elbows are high, you're not putting your back muscles into it as much. When your elbows are low, you can swing your arms down. Like, let me try to draw this out. So when your elbows are, let's say that here's his head. When your elbows are up high like this, it's really hard to push them forward because you're really only using your shoulder muscles. But when your elbows are low, like, okay, shoulders. When your elbows are low like this, you can kind of put your whole back into it and get a push from the double inside using your back. Whereas when your elbows are high like they are for Hokuto Fuji, there isn't as much torque. There isn't as much, rotating power going into it. And so this is a weak push for Hokuto Fuji. Because it's a weak push, he's going to try once more and then pull back, slap down, doesn't work. And all Hoshoryu needed to do is keep his footing, and that's the yusho for Hoshoryu. A fantastic 12-3 yusho with the playoff win at the very end there. Loved to see it. Loved to see his rise to Ozeki. Can't wait to see him as a Yokozuna. Hopefully he becomes a Yokozuna soon. And, just overall, a great tournament. Exciting at every stage. Unfortunate that we didn't get the triple Ozeki promotion, but we do have another person that can be up in this Ozeki watch. Just got to replace that with Kotonowaka instead of Hoshoryu, Kotonowaka. And then we can, of course, maybe keep Daieisho and Wakamoto Haru up there. They're going to need something like 14 wins in September, though, if Wakamoto Haru wants Ozeki. So I don't see that coming, really. And yeah, this was another great tournament, a fun one. Really nice to break down these matches from Hoshoryu, of which again, you don't have to win every match through your own effort and through your own merit. Sometimes you just have to wait for your opponent to make a mistake. Sometimes you just have to wait for your opponent to lose themselves. Usually you see that more with those stalemate matches where they're locked into yusho-zumo, the grappling sumo on each other's belts, and then the first one to make a move usually loses. But lately, that hasn't been what we've been seeing in sumo. It's sped up quite a lot. And, we see a lot more throws, a lot more slips, a lot more trips. And, in only a few of his matches, all he had to do was, survive the push from Abi, survive the push from Hokuto Fuji, survive the push from Tamawashi, and then get the advantage after, surviving the attack. So I want to see more Hoshoryu winning of his own merit. Of course, you want to see that all the time. I want to see less Hoshoryu pulling back for a slapdown. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see Hoshoryu pulling back anytime, anywhere, because I think he should be more confident in his own sumo. I think he should be more confident pushing forward. And the only time he should try a step back slapdown is against Uda, because he's already going to be so low to the ground. But yes, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown video. Later in the week on Wednesday, we will be showing you our top 10 matches of the top division in the Nagoya Basho, of which you won't see any of these, which happens a little more often than you might think. Sometimes the yusho winner does not show up in the top 10 matches video. And then, of course, next week, we will be going over Hokuto Fuji, his new style, and breaking down his Jun Yusho here. We've already seen him twice this video, but I will have to break them down from his perspective. So thank you very much for watching. I gotta walk the dog, and I will see you in the next one.